Hello everyone, this is chapter 13 of Max Lucado's book, You'll Get Through This. Goodbye to Goodbyes. John Glenn knows how to fly a fighter jet. He completed 59 missions in World War II and 19 the Korean War. He knows how to fly fast. He was the first pilot to average supersonic speed on a transcontinental flight. He knows how to fly into outer space. In 1962, he became the first American to orbit Earth. John Glenn knows how to win elections. He was a United States Senator from 1974 to 1999. John Glenn can do much: give speeches, lead committees, inspire audiences, and write books. Yet, for all his accomplishments, there's one skill he never mastered. He never learned to tell his wife goodbye. The two met when they were toddlers and grew up together in New Concord, Ohio. Though John went on to achieve national fame, he would tell you that the true hero of the family is the girl he married in 1943. Annie suffered from such severe shuddering that 85% of her efforts to speak fell short. She couldn't talk on the phone, order food in a restaurant, or give verbal instructions to a taxi driver. The idea of requesting help in a department store intimidated her. She would wander the aisles, reluctant to speak. She feared the possibility of a family crisis because she didn't know if she could make the 911 call. Hence the difficulty with goodbye. John couldn't bear the thought of separation. So the two developed a code. Each time he was deployed on a mission or called to travel, the couple bid each other farewell the same way. "I'm just going down to the corner store to get a pack of gum," he would say. "Don't be long," she'd reply. And off he would go to Japan, Korea, or outer space. Over the years, Annie's speech improved. Intense therapy clarified her enunciation skills and improved her confidence. Even so, goodbye was the one word the couple could not say to each other. In 1998, Senator Glenn became the oldest astronaut in history. He re-entered space aboard the shuttle Discovery. Upon departure, he told his wife, "I'm just going down to the corner store to get a pack of gum." This time, he gave her a present, a pack of gum. She kept it in a pocket near her heart until he was safely home. Goodbye. No one wants to say it. Not the spouse of an astronaut, not the mom of a soon-to-be preschooler, not the father of the bride, not the husband in the convalescent home, not the wife in the funeral home, especially not her. Death is the most difficult goodbye of all. I write these words freshly reminded of the ache of saying goodbye. Our church has had 5 funerals in the last 7 days, from the memorial for a baby to the burial of a 94-year-old friend. The sorrow took its toll on me. I found myself moping about. Sad. I cheated myself. "Come on, Max. Get over it. Death is a natural part of living." Then I self-corrected. "No, it isn't. Birth is. Breathing is. Belly laughs, big hugs, and bedtime kisses are." With that, we were not made to say goodbye. God's original plan had no farewell, no final breath, or heartbeat. That is the interloper, the intruder, the stick figure sketch in the Louvre. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It doesn't fit. Why would God give a fishing buddy and then take him, fill a crib and then empty it? No matter how you frame it, goodbye doesn't feel right. Jacob and Joseph lived beneath the shadow of goodbye. When the brothers lied about Joseph's death, they gave Jacob a blood-soaked tunic. A wild beast dragged the body away, they implied. Jacob collapsed in sorrow. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. Genesis 37, verse 34. Jacob wept until the tears turned to brine, until his soul shriveled. The two people he loved the most were gone. Rachel dead, Joseph dead. Jacob, it seems, died. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "in mourning will I go down to the grave to my son." So his father wept for him. Verse 35. Joseph lived with the same sorrow. 2 decades passed, no word from home. Birthdays, holidays, harvest days, Jacob was never far from his thoughts. The moment Joseph revealed his identity to his brothers, he asked, I am Joseph. Does my father still live? Question number one. How's that? Priority number one, a family reunion. Joseph told his brothers to saddle up, ship out, and come back with the entire family. He supplied them with provisions for the journey, and he gave each one of them new clothes. But to Benjamin, he gave 5 change of clothes and 300 pieces of silver. He sent his father 10 donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 donkeys loaded with grain and all kinds of other food to be eaten on his journey. So he sent his brothers off. As they left, he called after them, Don't quarrel along the way. And they left Egypt and returned to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan. Verses 21 to 25. Jacob's boys returned to Canaan in style. Gone were the shabby robes and emaciated donkeys. They drove brand new pickup trucks packed with gifts. They wore leather jackets and alligator skin boots. Their wives and kids spotted them on the horizon. You're back! You're back! Hugs and backslaps all around. Jacob emerged from a tent. A rush of hair, long and silver, reached his shoulders. Stooped back, face leathery like rawhide. He squinted at the sun-kissed sight of his sons and all the plunder. He was just about to ask where they stole the stuff when one of them blurted, Joseph is still alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart stood still because he did not believe them. Verse 26. The old man grabbed his chest. He had to sit down. Leah brought him some water and glared at the sons as if to say they had better not be playing joke on their father. But this was no trick. When he told him all the words which Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the carts which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. Verse 27. Sadness had sapped the last drop of joy out of Jacob. Yet when the sons told him what Joseph had said, how he had asked about Jacob, how he had called them to Egypt, Jacob's spirit revived. He looked at the prima facie evidence of carts and clothes. He looked at the confirming smiles and nods of his sons, and for the first time in more than 20 years, the old patriarch began to believe he would see his son again. His eyes began to sparkle and his shoulders straightened. Then Israel said, It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. Verse 28. Yes, the narrator calls Jacob by his other name. Genesis 32, verse 28. The promise of a family reunion can do things. It changes us from sad to seeking, from lonely to longing, from hermit to pilgrim, from Jacob, the heel grabber, to Israel, Prince of God. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. 46 verse 1. Jacob was 130 years old by this point, hardly a spring chicken. He had a hitch in his get long, an ache in his joints. But nothing was going to keep him from his son. He took his staff in hand and issued the command, Load him up, we are headed to Egypt. The text goes to wide angle at this point, and we are given an aerial view of the entire clan in migration. By virtue of a census, the narrator mentions each family member by name, the sons, the wives, the children, no one left out. The whole gang of 70 made a trip, and what a trip it was. Pyramids, palaces, irrigated farms, silos. They had never seen such sights. Then the moment they'd been waiting for, a wide flank of royalty appeared on the horizon. Chariots, horses, and the imperial guard. As the entourage drew near, Jacob leaned forward to get a better glimpse of the man in the center chariot. When he saw his face, Jacob whispered, Joseph, my son. Across the distance, Joseph leaned forward at his chariot. He told his driver to slap the horse. When the two groups met on the flat of the plain, the prince didn't hesitate. He bounded out of his chariot and ran in the direction of his father. The moment Joseph saw him, he threw himself on his neck and wept. Verse 29. Gone were the formalities, forgotten were the proprieties. Joseph buried his face in the crook of his father's shoulder. He wept a long time. Verse 29. As tears moistened the robe of his father, both men resolved that they would never say goodbye to each other again. Goodbye. For some of you, this word is the challenge of your life. To get through this is to get through raging loneliness, strength draining grief. You sleep alone in a double bed. You walk the hallways of a silent house. You catch yourself calling out his name or reaching for her hand. As with Jacob, the separation has exhausted your spirit. You feel quarantined, isolated. The rest of the world has moved on. You ache to do the same. But you can't. You can't say goodbye. If you can't, take heart. God has served notice. All farewells are on the clock. They are filtering like grains of sand through an hourglass. If heaven's throne room has a calendar, one day is circled in red and highlighted in yellow. God has decreed a family reunion. The Master himself will give the command. Archangel thunder. God's trumpet blast. He'll come down from heaven and the dead in Christ will rise. They'll go first. Then the rest of us who are still alive at the time will be caught up with them into the clouds to meet the Master. All will be walking on air, and then there will be one huge family reunion with the Master. So reassure one another with these words. This day will be no small day. It will be the great day. The archangel will inaugurate it with a trumpet blast. Thousands and thousands of angels will appear in the sky. Jude 14 to 15. Cemeteries and seas will give up their dead. Christ will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting for him. His coming will be the only event witnessed by all humanity. Every eye will see him. Moses will be watching. Napoleon's head will turn. The eyes of Martin Luther and Christopher Columbus will widen. The wicked depot of despot of hates. The white-robed martyr of paradise. From Adam to the baby born as the trumpet blares, everyone will witness the moment. Not everyone will want that moment, however. Unready people all over the world will raise a huge lament as they watch the Son of Man blazing out of heaven. Just as the book of Genesis lists the family of Jacob, the book of life lists the family of God. He will call the name of every person who accepted his invitation. He will honor the request of those who refused him and dismiss them for eternity. Then he will bless the desire of those who accepted him and gather them for a family reunion. What a reunion it will be! He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Revelations 21 verse 4. His first action will be to rub a thumb across the cheek of every child as if to say, there, no more tears. This long journey will come to an end. You will see him, and you will see them. Isn't this our hope? There will be one huge family reunion with the Master. So reassure one another with these words. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 17 to 18. Stephen Curtis Chapman and his wife, Mary Beth, are banking on this promise. In May 2008, their beautiful 5-year-old daughter was killed in an automobile accident. Since Stephen is an internationally known and beloved Christian singer, words of support and concern poured in from all over the globe. Letters, emails, phone calls. The Chapmans were deluged by messages of kindness. One conversation in particular gave Stephen strength. Pastor Greg Laurie, who had lost a son in an auto accident, told Stephen, "Remember, your future with Maria is infinitely greater than your past with her." That seems to take so much. We bury not just a body, but the wedding that never happened, the golden years we never knew. We bury dreams, but in heaven, these dreams will come true. God has promised a restoration of all things. All things includes all relationships. Colton Burpo was only 4 years old when he survived an emergency appendectomy. His parents were overjoyed at his survival, but they were stunned at his stories. Over the next few months, Colton talked of his visit to heaven. He described exactly what his parents were doing during the surgery and told stories of people he had met in heaven, people he had never met on earth or been told about. In the book Heaven is for Real, Colton's father relates the moment that a 4-year-old boy told his mom, "You had a baby die in your tummy, didn't you?" The parents had never mentioned the miscarriage to their son. He was too young to process it. Emotion filled his mother's face. "Who told you I had a baby die in my tummy?" Son just said, her tone serious. "She did, Mommy. She said she died in your tummy." A bit nervously, Colton faced his mom again, this time more warily. "It's okay, Mommy," he said. "She's okay. God adopted her." Sonja slid off the couch and knelt down in front of Colton so that she could look him in the eyes. Don't you mean Jesus adopted her? She said. No, Mommy. His dad did. Sonja's eyes lit up and she asked, what was her name? What was the little girl's name? She doesn't have a name. You guys didn't name her. The parents were stunned. There's no way Colton would have known this. But he had one more memory. He shared it before he went out to play. Yeah, she said she just can't wait for you and Daddy to get to heaven. Someone in heaven is saying the same words about you. Your grandma, your grandpa, aunt, your child, they're looking towards the day when God's family is back together. Shouldn't we do the same? Since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses, let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. Hebrews 12 verse 1. High above us, there is a crowd of witnesses. There are the Abrahams, Jacobs, and Josephs from all generations and nations. They have completed their own events and now witness the races of their spiritual, if not physical descendants. Listen carefully. The passage compels, and you will hear a multitude of God's children urging you on. Run, they shout. Run. You'll get through this. Our final home will hear no goodbyes. We will speak of the good book and remember good faith. But goodbye, gone forever. Let the promise change you. From sagging to seeking, from mournful to hopeful, from dwellers in the land of goodbye to heaven of hellos. The prince has decreed a homecoming. Let's take our staffs and travel in his direction. Oh, thank you, Lord.